2024, the unseen horror. In the year 2024, the world was enveloped in an eerie and foreboding atmosphere. Strange phenomena plagued the earth, and an unexplainable darkness seemed to seep into every corner of existence. What had started as a subtle unease quickly escalated into a full-blown nightmare, leaving humanity trembling in fear. It began with small, inexplicable occurrences. A flicker of lights, untraceable whispers in the night, and objects moving on their own. But as days turned into weeks, the horrors escalated. Reports of nightmarish apparitions terrorizing communities spread like wildfire. People claimed to have seen shadowy figures lurking in the corners of their vision, their malevolent eyes watching and waiting. With each passing day, the veil between the living and the dead grew thinner. Mysterious disappearances were on the rise, and those who vanished were never seen or heard from again. A palpable sense of dread gripped the hearts of those left behind, as they knew something sinister lurked in the darkness, ready to claim its next victim. In a desperate attempt to find answers, people turned to ancient texts and occult knowledge. The world's most brilliant minds united in search of a solution, but even they were unable to comprehend the malevolence that now plagued the planet. The message was clear. There was no escaping the wrath of the unseen horror. As the days turned into months, a chilling revelation unfolded. Experts discovered a series of encoded messages hidden within the chaotic anomalies that had engulfed the world. These messages, when pieced together, formed a terrifying prophecy, one that foretold the world's impending doom. The message spoke of a malevolent entity, an ancient darkness that had been awakened from its slumber deep within the earth. It hungered for chaos, despair, and suffering, and it found its sustenance in the fear of humanity. The more terror it could inflict, the stronger it grew. The prophecy warned that the entity's power was linked to human emotion, and the world's growing fear had inadvertently fed its strength. With each news report, each terrifying encounter, and each anguished scream, the darkness grew stronger, poised to unleash an apocalypse of unimaginable horror. In a last-ditch effort to save themselves, governments around the world launched desperate campaigns to unite humanity and encourage hope. But the malevolence was relentless, manipulating information and infiltrating the collective consciousness. It twisted messages of hope into ones of despair, turning unity into division, and corroding faith in the human spirit. As the world plummeted further into darkness, the nights grew longer and colder. Daylight seemed fleeting, and hope faded like a distant memory. The relentless terror manifested itself in grotesque forms, haunting dreams and waking hours alike. Sleep became a dangerous escape, as nightmares became a conduit for the malevolence to infiltrate the minds of the desperate and vulnerable. The government's efforts to counter the horror proved futile. People turned against each other in panic, descending into madness and depravity. The streets ran red with blood, and the cries of the suffering echoed through the desolate cities. Humanity's most cherished institutions crumbled, and societies disintegrated into chaos. The world, once teeming with life, now resembled a graveyard, a desolate landscape of despair and destruction. In the final moments, as the darkness encroached upon the last bastions of humanity, a collective realization spread among the survivors. The malevolence was an echo of their deepest fears, a manifestation of their own darkness. It was a reflection of humanity's capacity for cruelty and destruction, a horrifying revelation that left them paralyzed with guilt and shame. In the end, there was no escape, no salvation from the horrors that had befallen the world. The unseen horror claimed the earth and its inhabitants, dragging them into the abyss of eternal torment. The world was engulfed in darkness, and the malevolent entity thrived, its malevolence eternally echoing through the void. And so, the year 2024 stands as a chilling testament to the depths of human fear and the horrors that lie dormant within us all. The world's warning went unheeded, and the malevolence was an unwelcome reminder of humanity's darkest potential. In the end, the malevolent entity claimed its dominion, leaving no trace. As the darkness spread, those who survived huddled in the remnants of civilization, clinging to fading hope as their world crumbled around them. Their desperate attempts to resist the malevolence were met with relentless torment, the malevolent entity playing cruel mind games with their sanity. In the depths of their despair, survivors sought refuge in the darkest corners, hoping to evade the malevolence that lurked in the shadows. But there was no escaping the unseen horror. It seeped into every crevice of their souls, sowing seeds of doubt and despair. Families were torn apart, turning against each other under the malevolent influence, and the concept of trust became a distant memory. Fear and paranoia ruled their fractured society, and the once unbreakable bonds of humanity were shattered. As the malevolent entity tightened its grip, it twisted the fabric of reality itself. Survivors found themselves trapped in nightmarish landscapes, tormented by their own fears and insecurities. The line between dreams and reality blurred, leaving them unsure of what was real and what was merely a product of their fractured minds. The unseen horror preyed on their deepest regrets, forcing them to confront their past mistakes and darkest secrets. The weight of guilt and remorse became unbearable, driving some to the brink of madness. Suicide became a tragic escape for those who could no longer bear the malevolence's torment. The world descended further into chaos, and humanity's once bright future was now a distant memory. The scars of the malevolence's influence ran deep, and the survivors knew there was no hope left. The world was irreversibly tainted by the malevolence that had consumed it, and the survivors were left to dwell in an eternal nightmare of their own creation. In the final days, those who remained alive were haunted by haunting visions of what the world once was. They remembered the laughter of children, the warmth of the sun on their faces, and the love they once shared with family and friends. But those memories were now overshadowed by the malevolence that had consumed their world. As the malevolent entity's influence reached its peak, a haunting message reverberated through the minds of the survivors. "This is your creation," it whispered, its voice dripping with malevolence. "You have brought this darkness upon yourselves." The survivors were left to grapple with the cruel truth, that the unseen horror was a manifestation of their own fears, hatred, and cruelty. The malevolence had become a reflection of humanity's darkest aspects, a mirror held up to their own capacity for destruction. In the end, there was no escape from the malevolent entity that had consumed their world. The survivors were left to face the consequences of their actions, trapped in a hell of their own making. As the world fell into eternal darkness, the unseen horror reveled in its victory. Humanity had been its unwitting pawn, and now it had claimed its ultimate prize, the souls of the damned. And so, the year 2024 became a haunting reminder of the terrifying potential that lies within every human heart. The malevolence had shown humanity the darkness that lurks in the deepest corners of their souls, leaving a legacy of horror and despair that would never be forgotten. The unseen horror's malevolence remained eternally embedded in the fabric of reality, a constant reminder that darkness and fear will always find a way to resurface. The world was forever scarred by the malevolence that had consumed it, and the survivors were left to dwell in an eternal nightmare of their own creation. In the darkness of 2024, hope was lost, and the malevolent entity reigned supreme. There was no happy end to this terrifying tale, only a never-ending nightmare that consumed the world and its inhabitants. The unseen horror had left its mark, and the world would never be the same again. Thank you for joining me on this chilling journey through the darkest corners of the horror genre. If you enjoyed the spine-tingling tales and hair-raising scares, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the next bone-chilling episode. Remember, true horror knows no bounds, so stay tuned for more nightmarish stories on horror tales. Until then, stay brave and embrace the darkness. Goodbye, my fellow thrill-seekers.